Hi, my name is Jordan Keeter. I am studying to become a history teacher in secondary education with Grand Canyon University. In this video, I'm going to be discussing some of the professional dispositions of the learner for the purpose of a self-assessment to just talk about some of the things that I possess. First and foremost, some of the dispositions I possess that I think will make me a better teacher. Secondly, some of the things that I think I need to work on before I do become a first year teacher. And lastly, talk about some of the qualities that professional educators should possess. Firstly, one of the big things for me that I know I possess and I'm excited about taking this into my role as a teacher in the future, but is respect for diversity of others. That is a disposition that I know that I have. Being able to have a respect for diversity is being able to sit down in a group of people and discuss things, talk about things, learn about things in a positive manner. For me, it's important, especially someone who is a history guy. I like history. I love history. And right now in our world, we are living through history. Whether anyone likes what's going on or not, that's the truth. And it's exciting for me to take this into a setting where I can educate students on how to become more aware of what history looks like. And a part of that is having diversity, having differences of opinions. Throughout history, we've seen that over and over, time and time again, that there are differences of opinions, and being able to communicate them properly in that setting, I think will be critical as a teacher to be able to bring that into the classroom and say, hey, look, let's all talk about this. Let's all learn about things and have some respect for each other and our differences of opinions so that we can learn about history, take the things that we've learned and make a better world based on what we've learned in the past. Furthermore, part of that, the next thing, the big disposition that I feel like I have is the ability to encourage curiosity in a classroom. With being a history buff and wanting to be a history teacher, having the ability to sit down and say, hey, what happened in this year 200 years ago that may have changed the course of history? How can we talk about that? How can we challenge students to think more about that and ask those questions themselves so that they can apply it to their everyday life, so that they can hopefully learn a little bit more about our Constitution in America here. Right now, there's always different things about politics, and in the world, we have politics, whether we love to hear about it, want to talk about it or not. It's a huge part of our world. So learning the history of it is going to give us the ability to be able to challenge that, learn more about it, and also grow into that. Maybe there's a student in one of my classes one day that is going to become a senator, become a congressman, and having the ability to know a little bit more about that is going to be important for them. So having the ability to give them an opportunity to challenge that, ask more questions, and grow from that, and think outside of the box a little bit about, hey, what happened here and how could that have done differently? How could we have done that differently as a country? Or maybe there's another country that did something that they are able to learn from. But if they're not willing to have the curiosity to ask those questions, they may never learn it. And that leaves us at a moot point, and we won't be able to grow as a society. Furthermore, I think a big disposition for me is compassion. I have compassion for young people and wanting to teach them some ways to cope with their life. As we all know, life can be a little hard and a little bit stressful at times, but having compassion for them in that, especially in the lives of teenagers. For me, I'm training, learning to become a teacher in secondary education, so middle school, high school, teenagers. And they're in a really rough spot because they're going through a lot of highs and lows emotionally, learning about the world and how they become a better adult. And for me, I have compassion towards that. I have compassion towards teaching kids how to cope with those things, how to deal with those things, and how to become a successful adult. To me, that is a huge disposition that I want to bring into a classroom experience one day. Next, I want to talk about some of the things that I plan on working on before my first year. One big one for me is going to be dedication. Dedication is something that I wouldn't say I have not had in the past. I've had dedication towards certain things, but for me, this is all a very new experience to be studying to become an educator and teach other people. So I know that with that comes the dedication piece. You have to be dedicated to the profession. You have to be dedicated to growing more, learning more, challenging yourself more so that you can be more successful. But not only that, having dedication to the students that I serve. Having the dedication to pour into them and teach them and grow them, even when sometimes maybe they don't want to, or maybe they don't know how to communicate their needs. Having dedication through that is going to be an important thing that I want to work on personally, because I haven't had that experience to sit in a classroom with, say, a 14, 15, year old student that, maybe is going through a hard time in their personal life, and having dedication through that and pouring into them and saying, hey, I maybe understand you're not understanding the topic we're discussing in class, but I'm dedicated to be here. I'm dedicated to serve you. I'm dedicated to teach you, even in the midst of all your craziness. And that's how it goes with life. So I want to improve on that. Not only that, reflection. For me, obviously, becoming a teacher and having dedication to the profession is important. And being able to reflect on everything I've learned, one, from the time that I started this course and to the point I get in my degree, being able to reflect on all those things and use those things that I've reflected on to become a better educator is going to be important. But not only that, as I grow and develop as a teacher, maybe my first year teaching, I won't be able to know everything there is to know about the job. It's kind of on the job training. In a lot of ways, my practicum should be able to give me the ability to learn a little bit about it, but until you're really thrown into the hot seat, you may not know some of those things. So reflection, being able to continually grow and furthering my education, furthering myself, becoming better at what I'm doing is going to be an important step in the process. And just always trying to improve. Not only that, advocacy. Being present in the welfare of my school system that I'm in, the lives of my students, and not only that, my community. Those are some things that I want to improve on. I want to work on, because at this point, I'm not in a specific school system. I don't have this job yet. So those are things that I want to start working on, building the relationships in those communities, in those school systems, so that I can become a better advocate for what is going on, the welfare of the overall health of the community, and making sure that people are going to grow. Whatever decisions are being made in our school systems are going to be beneficial for the students. And then not only that, being an advocate for our students. There are young people all over the country right now who don't feel heard about a lot of different things. And I would say that education may be one of them, if we lend an ear to listen to them and ask them, hey, what can we do to be better educators? What can we do to give you a better educational experience across the board? And I think becoming a better advocate for that is something I want to work on personally. In addition, some of the things, the qualities that I think every single teacher should have is just a willingness to help, a willingness to ask questions, and be available, and be receptive to everything that you're hearing, everything that you're doing with students, with faculty, throughout the entire process of being an educator. There's so many things that I feel like educators have the ability to do and learn if they're just willing to do it. And I think willingness is a huge quality. But not only that, the quality that I think is important as well is to challenge themselves, to challenge the education system, to challenge how we're learning things, how we're teaching things, and readjusting things accordingly. I think those are all big qualities that we have to all adhere to and all kind of get on the same page with as future educators. Myself, I want to be able to do that, but I also feel like along with the dispositions of professionals, being professional, being on time to work, basic stuff, I think just having a willingness, a compassion, and and a yearning to do better and to become better, and to teach our young people how to become better and how to become successful adults, I think is going to be critical and a key quality in this process for all future educators and educators alike.